Every single morning, millions of people reach for a bottle of olive oil, drizzling it over salads, dipping bread into it, finishing a pan sauce with a generous pour. It feels indulgent. It feels Mediterranean. It feels, at best, like a nice culinary touch. But what if that same bottle sitting in your kitchen right now held one of the most powerful biological interventions ever studied by modern science? What if drinking just 1 tablespoon of it, not cooking with it, not drizzling it, but consuming it raw on an empty stomach every single morning for 7 days, could begin rewiring your cardiovascular system, silencing chronic inflammation and triggering cellular repair mechanisms that most people never activate in their entire lives? This is not a food trend. This is not influencer wellness culture. The people of ancient Crete, ancient Greece, and the coastal civilizations of the Mediterranean were consuming olive oil as medicine over 4,000 years ago, not as a condiment, but as a daily ritual with deliberate intent. They called it liquid gold. They were not being poetic. They were being precise. Modern science is now confirming what those civilizations understood intuitively. A landmark study published in the New England Journal of Medicine, the Predimed Trial, one of the largest dietary intervention studies ever conducted, documented that individuals who consumed olive oil daily reduced their risk of major cardiovascular events by 30% compared to those on a low-fat diet. 30%. Not a marginal improvement, a transformation. But here is what the processed food industry desperately hopes you never discover: that a single whole food, costing less than $2 per serving, can outperform some of the most aggressively marketed supplements on the planet. The effects start happening faster than anyone imagined. And by day 7, your body undergoes changes at the cellular level that could literally add years to your life. But before I reveal exactly what happens on each of those 7 days, there is something absolutely critical you must understand. If you choose the wrong type of olive oil, and most people do because the labeling is deliberately confusing, you might as well be drinking flavored vegetable oil with a fancy Italian-sounding name and zero therapeutic benefit. The difference between the right bottle and the wrong bottle is the difference between a medicine and a marketing gimmick. Stay with me, because I will tell you exactly how to choose correctly, and it will change how you shop forever. Are you ready to discover the science-backed truth about what raw olive oil does to your body when you commit to just 1 tablespoon a day? If you are new to our channel, welcome to your trusted source for evidence-based health and nutrition discoveries that could genuinely change your life. We are building a global community of health-conscious individuals who believe in the power of whole foods and ancestral wisdom confirmed by modern science. Hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss what we uncover next. Your journey to vibrant, lasting health starts here, and we are so excited to be part of it. Drop your country in the comments right now. I would love to know where in the world you are watching from today. Now, let us talk about why this works at a biological level, because once you understand the mechanism, everything that follows will make complete sense. Extra virgin olive oil is not simply a fat. It is a pharmacological cocktail disguised as a food. The primary active compound is oleocanthal, a naturally occurring polyphenol that researchers at the Monell Chemical Senses Center discovered functions almost identically to ibuprofen at the molecular level. It inhibits the same inflammatory enzymes, COX-1 and COX-2, that pharmaceutical anti-inflammatories target. The difference is that oleocanthal does this without damaging the gut lining, without stressing the kidneys, and without the long-term risks associated with chronic NSAID use. Then there is oleic acid, the predominant monounsaturated fatty acid in olive oil, making up roughly 70 to 80% of its composition. Oleic acid does not simply provide energy. It actively modulates gene expression. Research published in the journal Nutrients has shown that oleic acid influences genes associated with inflammation, lipid metabolism, and even cellular aging. Beyond those two, high-quality extra virgin olive oil contains over 200 distinct bioactive compounds, including hydroxytyrosol, squalene, and vitamin E, each with documented antioxidant, antimicrobial, or cardioprotective properties. No supplement on the market replicates this complexity. No capsule captures the synergistic interaction between these compounds the way the whole food does. That synergy, the way these molecules work together inside your body, is precisely why populations in southern Italy, Greece, and Spain who consume olive oil daily have historically shown dramatically lower rates of cardiovascular disease, cognitive decline, and certain cancers compared to populations eating processed Western diets. This is not coincidence. This is biochemistry. Now, let us walk through all 7 days. What actually happens? Day by day. Day 1. The inflammation response begins to quiet. Within just 4 to 6 hours of consuming your first tablespoon of raw extra virgin olive oil on an empty stomach, something remarkable begins happening at the cellular level. Oleocanthal begins circulating through your bloodstream and binding to inflammatory enzymes that, for many people eating a modern Western diet, have been chronically overactivated for years. Research published in the journal Acta Biochimica Polonica has documented that oleocanthal's anti-inflammatory activity is comparable to a 10% ibuprofen dose without a single side effect. You are not suppressing inflammation the way a pharmaceutical does, masking the signal while causing damage elsewhere. You are addressing the upstream cause, the oxidative environment that triggers the inflammatory cascade in the first place. What will you actually feel on day 1? Many people report a subtle warmth in the throat after swallowing. That slight peppery bite is the oleocanthal activating. If you feel that sensation, that is confirmation you have chosen a genuinely high polyphenol oil. Some notice a lightness in digestion by early afternoon. Others feel nothing externally yet, because the most important changes on day 1 are happening in places you cannot feel directly. The cellular environment is beginning to shift. This shift becomes dramatically more pronounced as the days progress. Day 2. Your gut lining begins to heal. Most people do not connect their joint pain, their brain fog, their skin breakouts, or their mood swings to their gut. But clinical research has established beyond reasonable doubt that intestinal permeability, what is commonly called leaky gut, is a root driver of systemic inflammation across nearly every major chronic condition. On day 2 of daily olive oil consumption, the oleic acid and hydroxytyrosol in your oil begin supporting the integrity of your intestinal epithelial cells, the thin barrier that separates your digestive tract from your bloodstream. Research published in the British Journal of Nutrition demonstrated that olive oil polyphenols significantly reduced markers of intestinal permeability and increased populations of beneficial lactobacillus and bifidobacterium bacteria in the gut microbiome. This is not what a probiotic supplement does. A probiotic delivers bacteria. Olive oil creates the environment in which beneficial bacteria thrive and inflammatory bacteria are suppressed. The difference is foundational. By the end of day 2, the ecosystem inside your digestive tract is already beginning to reorganize. The downstream effects of that reorganization, clearer skin, reduced bloating, more stable energy, will begin to surface in the days ahead. Day 3. Your cardiovascular system receives a measurable upgrade. By day 3, enough oleic acid has accumulated in your cellular membranes that your cardiovascular system begins responding in ways that cardiologists spend careers trying to achieve through pharmaceutical intervention. LDL cholesterol, the particle most associated with arterial plaque formation, begins to undergo a structural change. Olive oil does not simply lower LDL, it changes the size and density of LDL particles, making them larger, less oxidized, and therefore significantly less likely to embed themselves in arterial walls. Research published in the European Journal of Clinical Nutrition confirmed that daily olive oil consumption shifted participants' LDL profile toward the large, buoyant, low-risk pattern within 72 hours of consistent intake. Simultaneously, HDL cholesterol, your body's arterial cleanup crew, becomes more functionally active. It is not just about having more HDL, it is about having HDL that actually works. Olive oil polyphenols enhance HDL's reverse cholesterol transport capacity, meaning it becomes more efficient at pulling cholesterol out of your arteries and escorting it to the liver for processing. No statin does this. Statins reduce cholesterol production. Olive oil makes your existing cholesterol work better. That is a fundamentally different, and for many people, more meaningful, intervention. Day 4. Your brain enters a protective state. This is the day that surprises people most. We think of olive oil as a heart food. The research on the brain is arguably more compelling. On day 4 of daily raw consumption, oleocanthal begins crossing the blood-brain barrier, something most compounds cannot do, and starts activating autophagy in neural tissue. Autophagy is your brain's internal housekeeping system, the cellular process by which damaged proteins and dysfunctional cellular components are identified, broken down, and recycled. The accumulation of misfolded proteins in brain tissue is directly linked to Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's disease, and age-related cognitive decline. Research published in the journal ACS Chemical Neuroscience demonstrated that oleocanthal enhanced the clearance of amyloid beta and tau proteins, the precise proteins that form the plaques and tangles characteristic of Alzheimer's pathology. The researchers described this as a potential dietary strategy for neurological protection that pharmaceutical companies have spent billions of dollars trying to replicate in a pill, with limited success. What you may notice by day 4 is subtler than a dramatic mood shift. Many people describe a quieting of mental noise, slightly sharper focus, a small but perceptible improvement in word retrieval or mental clarity. The deeper neuroprotective changes are playing out beneath conscious awareness, but they are happening, and they compound with every subsequent day. Day 5. Hormonal balance and blood sugar regulation stabilize. By day 5, the anti-inflammatory and lipid-modulating effects of daily olive oil consumption begin to produce a less discussed but profoundly important outcome: improved insulin sensitivity. Chronic low-grade inflammation, the kind that most modern adults carry constantly, directly impairs insulin receptor function. When your cells cannot respond properly to insulin, blood sugar regulation breaks down, energy becomes erratic, fat storage accelerates, and hormonal cascades that govern mood, libido, sleep, and appetite all begin to dysregulate. This is not just a diabetes story. This is a story about how inflammation quietly dismantles your entire metabolic architecture. Research published in Diabetes Care, a peer-reviewed journal of the American Diabetes Association, documented that a Mediterranean diet rich in extra virgin olive oil improved insulin sensitivity by an average of 16% in participants with metabolic risk factors, within just weeks of consistent consumption. 16% improvement in insulin function translates to more stable energy across the day, reduced sugar cravings, better sleep quality, and measurable shifts in how the body partitions calories between fuel and fat storage. By day 5, many people notice that the mid-afternoon energy crash they assumed was normal, the 2 o'clock fog, begins to lift. This is not placebo. This is your metabolic machinery starting to run the way it was designed to run. Day 6. Cellular defense and DNA protection activate. We tend to think of aging as something that happens to us gradually and inevitably. Modern cellular biology tells a different story. Aging, at the molecular level, is largely the accumulated result of oxidative damage to DNA, mitochondria, and cellular membranes, damage that compounds over decades because the body's antioxidant defense systems become overwhelmed. On day 6, the hydroxytyrosol in your olive oil, one of the most potent antioxidants found in any food on the planet, with an ORAC value that dwarfs blueberries and green tea, has reached sufficient concentration in your tissues to meaningfully upregulate your body's endogenous antioxidant enzymes. Specifically, it activates the NRF2 pathway, your cell's master antioxidant regulatory system, which then increases production of glutathione, superoxide dismutase, and catalase. These are not antioxidants you consume. These are antioxidants your own body manufactures in response to the signal olive oil sends. Research published in the journal Free Radical Biology and Medicine documented that hydroxytyrosol supplementation significantly reduced oxidative DNA damage markers, specifically 8-OHDG, a biomarker of DNA oxidation, within days of consistent intake. This is your cellular infrastructure being reinforced from the inside out. The visible signs of this protection take longer to appear, but the invisible work is already done by day 6. Day 7, full system renewal and the beginning of a new baseline. By day 7, you are not the same biological system that started this journey. The inflammatory markers that drive joint pain, brain fog, skin inflammation, and cardiovascular risk are measurably lower. Your gut microbiome has shifted toward a more diverse, beneficial composition. Your LDL particles are less oxidized and less dangerous. Your brain's autophagy mechanisms are more active. Your insulin receptors are more responsive. Your cellular antioxidant defenses are stronger. Research published in the journal Molecular Nutrition and Food Research tracked participants consuming extra virgin olive oil daily and found significant reductions in C-reactive protein, the primary blood marker of systemic inflammation, within 1 week of consistent intake. C-reactive protein reduction at this magnitude is clinically associated with reduced risk of heart attack, stroke, cognitive decline, and all-cause mortality. Day 7 is not a finish line. It is a new baseline. The body you are living in on day 7 is more capable of sustaining these changes than the body you started with because the compounds have now embedded themselves into your cellular membranes, your microbiome, and your gene expression patterns. This is how dietary transformation actually works, not in a single dramatic moment, but in a compounding cascade of quiet molecular improvements that add up to a life that feels fundamentally different. Now, let us talk about how to make sure you are choosing and using the right oil. Not all olive oil is created equal. In fact, a 2015 investigation by the University of California, Davis found that over 70% of olive oils sold in American supermarkets labeled as extra virgin did not meet the international standards for that classification. They were diluted, degraded, or adulterated with cheaper refined oils. Here is how to protect yourself. First, look for the words extra virgin, not pure, not light, not simply olive oil. Then look for a harvest date on the label, not just a best buy date. You want oil harvested within the last 12 months. Look for certification seals from organizations like the California Olive Oil Council, the North American Olive Oil Association, or the European PDO and PGI designations. Dark glass bottles are essential. Light degrades polyphenols rapidly. Avoid any oil in clear plastic or clear glass. For therapeutic daily use, consume 1 tablespoon first thing in the morning on an empty stomach. Wait 15 to 20 minutes before eating anything else. This allows maximum absorption of the polyphenols without interference from other foods. You may also add a 2nd tablespoon as a finishing oil over cooked food. Never heat your therapeutic oil above 180 degrees Celsius, as high heat degrades the very polyphenols that make it medicinal. Store your bottle away from heat and direct light, ideally in a cool cupboard, and use it within 60 days of opening. A brief word on who should exercise some caution. If you are currently on blood-thinning medications such as warfarin, daily olive oil consumption can have an additive effect. Consult your doctor before beginning. If you have gallbladder issues or a history of gallstones, start with a smaller amount, half a teaspoon, and increase gradually over 2 weeks. One honest consideration: olive oil is calorically dense at approximately 120 calories per tablespoon. For the vast majority of people, the metabolic benefits, particularly improved insulin sensitivity, more than compensate for this. But if you are in a carefully managed calorie deficit, account for it. The good news is that the healthy fats in olive oil are deeply satiating. Most people naturally eat less at their next meal after consuming it on an empty stomach. For the overwhelming majority of healthy adults, this practice is not only safe, it is one of the most well-documented dietary habits associated with longevity in the entire scientific literature. If this video has been helpful to you today, kindly type yes in the comments right now. That single word tells us that what we are creating here is making a difference, and it motivates us to keep going. Do not forget to like this video, share it with someone you love who could benefit, and subscribe to our channel for more evidence-based health content delivered every day. But before you go, I want to leave you with something more than information. Because information without integration is just noise, and you did not come here for noise. 1. Embrace awareness. The first act of transformation is simply paying attention. You watched this video because something in you already knew that the answers you were looking for were not in a pharmacy. They were in the wisdom of generations, confirmed by the precision of science. That instinct is your greatest health asset. Trust it. 2. Honor consistency. A single tablespoon of olive oil will not change your life. 7 days will give you a glimpse. 30 days will give you a new baseline. A year will give you a different body, a different brain, and a different relationship with your own energy and vitality. The most powerful health interventions on earth are not dramatic. They are daily. They are quiet. They compound invisibly until one morning you realize you feel like a different person, and you are. 3. Respect the wisdom in simplicity. We live in an era that equates complexity with value. If something does not come in a sophisticated capsule with a clinical-sounding name and a 3-figure price tag, we are conditioned to doubt it. But the most powerfully documented longevity practices on Earth, the habits shared by the populations with the longest, healthiest lives, are strikingly simple. A tablespoon of olive oil, a walk after meals, community, sleep. These are not insufficient. These are the thing itself. 4. Celebrate every small shift. The peppery bite in your throat on day 1. The slightly clearer head on day 4. The afternoon that passes without a crash on day 5. These are not coincidences. These are your biology responding to being respected. Notice them. Record them. Let them reinforce the next decision. Health is not built in a single breakthrough moment. It is built in the accumulation of moments you choose to pay attention to. 5. Understand that you are not starting over. You are beginning again, which is something different entirely. Beginning again means you bring everything you already know, every lesson your body has already taught you, and every moment of awareness that led you here. This is not a reset. This is an evolution, and it is already underway. Thank you for being here. Thank you for investing in your health. And here is to the vibrant, clear, energized future you are creating. One purposeful, golden tablespoon at a time. If this video was helpful, kindly type yes in the comments. That motivates us to produce more content like this. Do not forget to like this video, share it with friends and family who could benefit, and subscribe to our channel for more evidence-based health content.